to my time in South Africa. And, you know, Lionel made a point earlier, which I think is spot on, where it's like, you know, one thing I've learned about as you travel abroad and travel overseas, and I always try to tell, you know, the folks we work with in Baltimore, get outside of Baltimore when you can, because the fact is, one thing it does help you to really appreciate where you're from, but at the same time, it helps you to understand that we don't have the market cornered on good ideas. Other people have some pretty good ideas too. And there was two things that I remarked about the first time I went to South Africa, and it's only been compounded every time I've gone back since, is one is they have an incredibly healthy self-esteem about their own history, which is something that gets me about a lot of folks in Baltimore. We don't even know how powerful we are. We don't know that when we think of Baltimore, this is the city of Billie Holiday and Thurgood Marshall. We're one of the most important cities in the entire fight for the birth of this country. There's so much beauty about our city that I think so many people in our city don't even know nor appreciate. And when you go down to that and you talk to people in whether it be Johannesburg or Cape Town or Durban, they have a very strong sense about who they are and from where they come from. And I think that is very emblematic in everything about how they think about themselves. The other thing that I think is really interesting and I really took a lot from was this journey into manhood. Because, you know, I think for so many of us, so for example, when I was in South Africa, I was staying with a homestay family, and my homestay brother, a guy named Zinzi, was about to go through the traditional Xhosa ceremony of the manhood ceremony. And basically what happens in Xhosa tribe is, as young boys turn about 15, 16, 17, they'll then head out into the bush. And a group of them will go out into the bush, and then they will be circumcised. And then they'll spend the next 3 weeks together inside of the bush healing. Physically healing. But at the same time, while they're physically healing, they're also going through the process of the elders teaching them what it means to be a Xhosa man. The fact that you come from a history of Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki, who are all went through the same ceremony that you just went through. The fact that how you're supposed to act and how you're supposed to treat people, and how you will be treated in respect once you return back. And so after 3 weeks, they return back to the village, and then for the first, I think like 6 months or first 8 months, they wear all white every single day. They wear white brim hats and white jackets and white shirts. And when they first come back into the village, they have white paint on their faces. And when they first come back, the people greet them with a huge ceremony, welcoming them back into society, almost like, welcome back to come take your proper claim as to what it means to be a Xhosa man. And they take that internally, and they take that responsibility, and they walk with their shoulders back and their chest out and their heads high. I think about the dynamic of what it means to kind of go through this process of manhood in our city, where in many cases, as our kids become older, we fear them. As their shoulders get broader, and as they become taller, and as their voices get deeper, when we see them walking down the street, we cross the street. And we wonder what psychologically that does to them. We wonder what psychologically that does when, instead of being seen as now you're rising up to take on this natural beacon of leadership in our community, you now rise up to take on this natural fear.